Having eaten, they would commence the march. Quick, quick! Out to the fields for more digging, and weeding of grass, and gathering of stones, until one day she was hoisted onto the back of a wagon full of sickly property, and carried to the town square. The least of the female litter, she mounted a wooden platform, and waited until all the others had been taken. She stood alone now, but the ship's captain eventually nodded without enthusiasm, and her short time in the Indies reached an abrupt conclusion. On her journey to the Indies, it was the rats that had inspired the greatest fear, for they fed with conviction and grew huge and profited handsomely from their passage. The human cargo was chained and manacled in the hold, where they rolled to the left and then back to the right, their rotations determined by the undulating waves. But on each occasion that the vessel dipped, the cargo received the blessing of a libation of slime. Soon they were too nauseated to eat, and most were too grief-stricken to cry, and she lay surrounded by the doleful mourning of those who rotted in the darkness. They whispered in plaintive tongues that were beyond the comprehension of her half-chewed ears, and they composed themselves for their own private journeys. During the second voyage, she remained anchored to the splintered floor of the captain's cabin, unless he had business with her. A crude depravity marked this man's crumpled brow, and she soon perceived that her captor was fired with a lust for unconditional obedience. His brutish appetite rose and fell like the ship, and at the termination of his cowardly attacks he would re-shackle her, and then reach for his pipe and smoke the tobacco that appeared to offer him some vestige of peace, in mind and body. Moving even a little caused the chains to bite urgently at her wrists and ankles, and so she would simply curl up in her corner and watch as he began to blow plumes of smoke. It troubled her that the lengthy crossing was making her dull, and so, trembling like a palm leaf, she tried hard to recall the simple dignity of a bowl from which one might eat, or the long-forgotten pleasure of a few breaths of clean, pure air. How many years have I? She unseals her eyes and sees the boy trying once more to pull her upright, and she smiles. It's true. There is no dignity in lying slumped among a sea of masts. But look, vessels at anchor. Still, like her, and she feels grateful that her child is helping her. Now, she is startled by the warm water between her legs, but she welcomes the sudden flush of heat. She knows this pleasant feeling will soon pass, and only the stench and irritation will remain. I'm sorry, my child, but tribulation is upon me, and I must sleep some more before standing. Please sit with me, and keep me company for 1 hour more. This is all I ask. Just 1 hour, and then we two shall leave together. She deeply resents the fact that these people look pitifully upon her son, whom she has ruined by the example of her own indolent misery. Their foolish tongues used to ask, "Can the boy speak English? Can he dress hair? Is he sober? Is he fit to wait upon a gentleman?" But no, she has seen the other boys, ornately attired in silks, with silver collars and satin turbans, walking behind fair ladies so they might attend to their mistresses' trains, or quickly administer smelling salts, or take charge of their fans. But other boys. Not her child. Her son will never walk behind a fair lady. He looks down at her, his wide eyes brimming with a concern that threatens to spill over into tears. She can, however, detect that a strong and tenacious heart beats in his tiny body. This being the case, all is not lost. As the pale sun sinks beneath the watery horizon, filth-encrusted sailors, ready to roister anew under the cover of darkness, appear from all directions. She never evokes any compassion from these men, who lurch confidently past her, their aura of superiority fed by excessive familiarity with rum and other strong liquors. The boy helps her to her feet, for they must leave before the quarter descends into violence. They stagger off,